Hey, Earl here. What if the whole work for 40 years and retire at 65 plan ain't really a plan at all? I don't mean somebody's out there twirling a mustache and laughing at you. I just mean it's an outdated roadmap. Somebody drew it up a long time ago, probably while wearing a tie way too tight, and nobody's bothered to update it since. We get told to save aggressively for a finish line so far away that by the time you get there, your knees hurt and your best years are gone. But what if there's a back door? A way to step off the treadmill in your 40s, not into full stop retirement, but into a life funded by a low stress part-time job you actually enjoy? That's what this video is about, and I'm going to show you the math that makes it real. Now, I've been through enough bad plans in my life to recognize one on sight, and the traditional retirement plan has a design flaw big enough to drive a utility van through. It treats retirement like a light switch. One day you're working, next day you're not. Full stop. That all or nothing setup forces a brutal trade. You sacrifice your 40s, the years when you've still got energy and decent knees, for a reward you might not collect for another 2 decades. It keeps millions of people feeling trapped in careers that are slowly grinding them down. But there's a third option, and it's been sitting right there in plain sight. It ain't about quitting work entirely. It's a hybrid. A smarter path that lets you reclaim your time years sooner by using a small part-time income to carry some of the weight. Today I'm going to walk you through the whole thing, the mindset shift, some real people who've already done it, and the math that makes it click. The strategy has a name, and that name is Barista FIRE. Now, before you picture yourself in an apron trying to remember the difference between a macchiato and a flat white, let me explain. It's a nod to companies like Starbucks, which offer health insurance to part-time employees who work enough hours. But you don't have to sling coffee. The core idea is this. You leave your stressful full-time career once your investments are large enough to cover most of your expenses. Then you pick up a low-stress part-time gig to cover the rest. Now, I know what that sounds like. It sounds like taking a step backward. I spent a lot of my life confusing busyness with progress, a big job title with a big paycheck. But here's the reframe. That part-time gig isn't a demotion. It's the key. It's the tool you use to buy back your time, a bridge from a high-stress life to a high-freedom one. In traditional retirement, your portfolio has to do 100% of the heavy lifting. It needs to be big enough to cover every single one of your expenses for the rest of your life. But with Barista FIRE, your portfolio only does part of the work. Your part-time income handles the gap. That one shift completely rewrites the math. And here's the part that matters most for people eyeing an exit before Medicare kicks in at 65. Finding a part-time job that includes health benefits might just solve the biggest puzzle in early retirement. That coverage gap between leaving your job and hitting 65 can cost you a fortune if you're not ready for it. Barista FIRE is one of the most practical ways to bridge it. So stop thinking of retirement as a finish line. Start seeing it as a transition, a strategic downshift into more time, more control, and a whole lot less stress. You're not giving up. You're trading a high-pressure career for a high-freedom life, and you're doing it now. And this ain't just theory. People are doing this right now. Take someone like Julie. She was on the standard corporate track. Layoffs, politics, pressure, the whole package. She decided she'd had enough, saved hard, built up a $500,000 portfolio, and semi-retired at 36. Now she funds her life by working part-time as a travel planner, something she actually loves. She didn't become a barista. She found her own bridge job, one that matched her interests and gave her room to breathe. Or think about Greg, who spent years in a demanding government role. At 40, a medical crisis in his family showed him just how inflexible his career really was. He left for a location-independent, nonprofit position, still working, still contributing, but on his own terms. He could be present for his family. He wasn't escaping work. He was escaping work that owned him. That's what Barista FIRE looks like in real life. Part-time consultant, fitness studio employee, online teacher, Seasonal work you actually look forward to. The specific job matters less than what it gives you, which is a life with more balance and more freedom. Years before 65 shows up. The common thread in all these stories is simple. These people decided their time was worth more than their title. They used a part-time job not as failure, but as the key to unlock the life they actually wanted. Now let's talk about what this means for your timeline. The last video covered the 4% rule and your number. This one is about something different. It's about years. How many years a part-time job can buy back. Say you're 35, making $50,000 a year, saving 15%. On a straight, full retirement path, you might not hit your number until 58. 23 more years of an alarm clock. 23 more years of someone else owning your Monday mornings. Now add a bridge job. $15 an hour, 20 hours a week. Around $15,000 a year. And it does two things at once. It lowers the portfolio target you need to hit, and it slows down how fast you drain your savings once you leave. Both things let you walk out sooner with less in the bank. Run those numbers, and the same person might reach their Barista FIRE target by 51 instead of 58. 7 years. 7 years of mornings that belong to you. 7 years of not missing your kids' games or your parents while they're still around. 7 years of not dreading Sunday nights. Nobody talks about retirement in years. They talk about dollar amounts, but dollars are just the unit of measurement. Years are what you're buying. There's one more piece that matters. When you leave a job and start pulling from your portfolio right away, you're exposed. If the market drops in those first few years, you're selling shares at the worst time to cover living expenses. That sequence of returns risk, and it sinks early retirement plans. A bridge job covering part of your costs means withdrawing less in those fragile early years, giving your portfolio room to recover instead of bleeding it down while it's still weak. Now, look, I'm not here to tell you this is easy. I've had enough experience with plans that look good on paper and fall apart in real life to know better than that. Barista FIRE has real challenges. Part-time income can be unpredictable. Your hours might fluctuate. Finding a gig with low stress, decent pay, and actual benefits isn't always straightforward. You've got to be ready for some variability and build a buffer into your numbers. There's also the psychological piece. Some people leave high-stress professional careers and find it hard to accept working a lower-wage job, even when it's strategic. If you spent 20 years climbing a ladder, stepping down feels wrong even when it's right. That's worth being honest with yourself about before you make the leap. And not every part-time job comes with benefits. The whole Starbucks-style health insurance angle is real, but it's not universal. You've got to do your homework. Find the job that actually solves your healthcare problem and not just assume any part-time work will do it. Finally, low stress is a description, not a guarantee. Some jobs that sound relaxed turn out to be a different kind of exhausting. You don't want to trade one burnout for another. The point is to find something that genuinely fits the life you're building, not one that just recreates the pressure you were trying to escape. Now, before we wrap up, let me answer a question I know some of you are already asking. How does this compare to Coast FIRE? The difference is timing. With Coast FIRE, you save enough early on so your investments grow to your full retirement number on their own, without you adding another dollar. You still work full-time to cover your bills, but you leave that nest egg completely alone until it's ready. It's powerful, but you're still on a regular schedule until the money does its thing. Barista FIRE is for people who want the life shift sooner. You actively use your investments and your part-time income together, downshifting now and letting the portfolio finish the job in the background. The secret to retiring in your 40s isn't some miracle investment return. It isn't a side hustle that makes you 10 grand a month. It's something quieter and more powerful. It's redesigning what retirement actually means. Freedom isn't a trophy waiting at the end of a long, hard race. And it is not something that happens to you at 65 if you were patient enough. It's something you build step by by making choices that line your money up with the life you actually want. Here's what I want you to think about. You don't need every number right now. Start with one question. If you left your career tomorrow and needed to cover part of your expenses with some kind of work, what would that look like? Not a dream job, not a hustle empire, just something low-key that pays and doesn't wreck you. Drop it in the comments. What's the bridge job you'd actually take? And how many years do you think it shaves off your timeline? I want to see what people come up with. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We're going deep into lean fire and how to retire before 60 on a modest budget and a simple lifestyle. I'll see you there.